G'day you mob, what's going on? Welcome to this episode of Pete vs. Plants. I am Pete and the plants are in the boxes. So today we're obviously doing a little unboxing. I guess I should show you first. I've sort of just gone out to the shops and I can never help myself, right? So I went to Bunnings, as I tend to do, and I had a look at the plants that they had there. I went there because I was passing by the pet store. We're getting a cat this weekend, Peaches. I'll see if I can chuck some photos up of her, but we're adopting a cat. We had a full drama with a breeder that we were trying to purchase a cat through, where effectively at the end, we'd been waiting 2 years. Through COVID, we had put our names down on the list, we'd paid a deposit, and the breeder at the end of this period, when they said a cat's available, decided to increase the price 36%. So it went from a cat that was $2,000 to a cat that was $2,700. And needless to say, I told them where to go and asked for the deposit back and got it back. But yeah, so anyway, we decided to get a rescue instead. Found a beautiful recent mother who has just had a little litter. She was in foster care, seems to be a hit, doesn't really have much of an interest in plants, yippee. And so yeah, we're getting her on Friday. So, oh my God. Pet stuff is so expensive. I went and had to lash out on everything, scratch posts, some kitty litter tray, some toys, somewhere for her to sleep, some food, and it cost me like $500, guys. It was just at the end I was like, oh my God. Anyway, hopefully we're going to pamper her because she deserves it. So yeah, long story short, went past Pet Barn, Unleashed there, and then was right next to Warm Ponds Bunnings. So I was like, oh, I'll go have a look. I haven't been here in, a while, weeks. So yeah, ended up grabbing 2 plants. The first one is what I imagine is some kind of Begonia Rex hybrid. And I am just an absolute sucker for large leaf begonias like this that have silver splashes on them. I've actually got quite a few now. I've got 3, quite a few. I've got the Frost, I've got the Iceberg, and I've got this, it just says Begonia Rex mix. So it's obviously some kind of a hybrid. Yeah, I really kind of want to get into hybridizing begonias. I have been watching some of Summer Rain's videos. Check her out on YouTube, and she recently did some stuff with sort of Mr. Begonia in the US, one of the most famous begonia sort of experts and hybridizers in the world currently alive, and he works for Steve's Leaves, I think, over there in the begonia division, and he was just touring all of it, talking about hybridizing them and everything, and I just find them, especially the foliage, just so beautiful. And it was really cool because he was showing a lot of the different hybrids they sell are quite often from the same hybridization. So the same, 2 plants will be crossed, they will create, obviously, progeny, the seeds will come out, the seeds will be grown out, and because they use 2 different parents, right, that can be drastically different in, say, phenotype, in appearance, you'll get all kinds of different looking children, effectively. So they go through recombination of the DNA, so you get the 2 parents, imagine there's one over here, and the DNA effectively gets all jumbled up, so they have a mix of genes from both parents, and each sibling is obviously different, right? That's why we look different from our siblings, unless you've got an identical twin. And so I was just really fascinated how they can make these crosses grow out a bunch of the seedlings and then just have such dramatically different offspring that you can then choose from. So I'm kind of leaning towards going down that rabbit hole soon. Yeah, and they keep flowering so well inside, so it just seems like a no-brainer, right? It seems like it wouldn't be the hardest thing in the world, but I haven't gotten into it yet, so we'll see. Maybe it is. Anyway, so the first plant that I picked up here, and this was for the bargain price of $13.83. That's a pretty random price, to be honest. In Australia, you don't often see things ending with a 3. It's usually ending in a 0, a 9, or a 5. But yeah, $13.83, this begonia hybrid. Pumped to have this one. Where can I chuck it? The next thing I got from Bunnings was an air plant. Now, I've been getting into these recently, and they come in these little plastic tubes, and I'm kind of a sucker for these ones with larger leaves. So sorry about the reflection here. But this is I've forgotten, is it Tradescantia? I've forgotten the genus name, but Caput medusae. Caput medusae is the species name apparently, and it has these beautiful red flowers that you can see here. So I'm keen to grow a few of these. You can pretty much put them anywhere and just have to water them, once every month or 2, I think, by either just submerging them in water or giving them a bit of a mist. And so, yeah, they're pretty low maintenance from what I understand. So I am, keen to see how this one goes. Lastly, I went past Diaco's on the way home. This is it Newcombe, nearby? That'll mean nothing to the majority of you guys. And I found a premium indoor plant. I love when plants obviously don't get their own tags from nurseries. You know, what species is this? Premium indoor plantius. Oh, okay. It's a Monstera I've laniata, just a green form. Now, I've got a few variegated ones. In fact, I think I might just have one. I think I killed my mint variegated one. I bought a one-leaf mint variegated laniata that, it didn't make it. But I have an albo one that's beautiful. I've taken quite a few cuttings from. And I saw this one there, and I really like these when they get large. They get some cool fenestrations on the leaves. And so I couldn't help myself. It was only $20, $19.95. And so, I'll probably grow this up a moss pole, take some cuttings from it potentially, maybe grow up multiple ones up a moss pole. But I'm just a sucker for Monsteras, guys. You know what it's like. So, just the green form laniata. Cool. And I keep wondering, I see all of these different types of Monstera Adansonii, and I keep wondering how many of these, if they were to do the genetic work, they would find out are actually not Adansonii, but a new species. And I'll have to dig in and find out which variant of Adansonii actually has precedence as the holotype, right? So the type specimen, the first described Monstera Adansonii. If all these other Adansonii are found to be different species, the original thing to have been found and given the name Monstera Adansonii will be what keeps that name, and everything else will have its name changed. So it'd be interesting to know which one that is out of all the different variants. So anyway, there we go, Monstera laniata. So I guess what I'm going to do with these three is I'm going to give them a little spray down with insecticides, make sure that they're all pest free, keep them separated from my plants for maybe a couple of weeks so that they go through a few rounds of just getting insecticided, and then introduce them into the collection. You know, it's like getting a new dinosaur and bringing it to Jurassic Park. You've got to keep it isolated for a while, make sure it's healthy, make sure it doesn't have any of those dinosaur fleas or any other parasites, and then at the end of the day, after a few weeks of isolation, you can let it go into the park to be eaten by T-Rex. I don't know what I'm smoking. I also got some little pots that I would show you guys, because I've got some succulents on my my office window, and they're just sitting in their pots currently, but I thought I would get some of these cute nursery, these aren't nursery pots, they're porcelain, I guess this is porcelain, ceramic pots, and so they're a little bit expensive but for what they are, but they're from Diaco's, and I like going there and supporting them. So I don't know what the price of this one was. It was probably about $11, $12. This one was $8. Very, very cute. And little fishies. And because I got those two little fish, I saw this guy next to it, and I was like, I've got to get this little dude. Meow. He's a little white whale. And sorry, I know the light is kind of blowing out the image, but there you go. A little porcelain whale, I think again about, what was it here, $12. So really cute. I'll have to think about what I can put in here that'll sort of look like some spray coming out of his head. There you go, that'll be cool next to the fish. I kind of like the little pots that look like animals. And then lastly, I got these, which were each $5. So again, just some other small pots, kind of matching, different colors though, that I'll be able to chuck some of the succulents in, and they have drainage holes, which is cool. So I might end up just potting them straight into these, obviously. So been a busy little day. And then I came home. Let's put these guys here and maybe move this out of the way. And I came home and found these parcels at the door. So I guess we'll go from small to big. And I have something quite impressive to show you at the end, hopefully. I'm hoping it's made it here in one piece. So I think this one's, it's got a bit of sticky tape at the sides. I've got to be careful. Don't cut anything inside the box. We've done that before. Okay, small. I have to try and remember. What did I get recently that was small? I hate this. I always get stuff in the mail, and because multiple things arrive at once, I forget what I bought. Or at least I can't remember what I'm sort of waiting for in each package. Now I know. Oh, God. This person's just shredded paper to use as packing material, which is clever. Hopefully they're not important documents. So the plant that I have here, and it's much smaller than I was expecting, honestly, is an Aurea variegated Monstera Stanleyana. So I have wanted this plant for quite a while now. I am actually kind of a big fan of the Stanleyana. I know a lot of people kind of give it a bit of hate. They throw shade at it. But I think it's a beautiful plant. And mine have just been growing they've just been going off. They've been going off like a frog in a sock. They have been growing up the moss pole that I have just relentlessly, and have pushed so many roots into the moss pole that have gone down and then into the soil that I found them to be just voracious growers. And the variegation seems to be stable in these plants, at least with the Albo one that I have. It seems to me reminiscent of Monstera Thai Constellation variegation, where every single leaf will have that kind of constellation-y star kind of variegation where you'll see the speckles all over the leaves, but every now and then it'll spit out large chunky blocks of variegation, or a half moon or even a full moon leaf with variegation, and I haven't seen anything on mine at least revert. So I obviously have to dig in a bit deeper to work out what type of variegation it is, if anyone actually even knows, but it does definitely give me Monstera Thai Constellation vibes in terms of the variegation that it has. It's sort of like, I'm trying to think, there's another one that I think of whenever I see it, I think of Thai Constellation variegation too. The Ring of Fire. That one too gives me those vibes, though I'm not sure. I haven't grown that out for that long. Anyway, so yeah, this is a tiny little dude. I'll have to open him up and check the roots out later on and pot him up and see how it's going to go. Because it's so small, and it was only, I think from memory, it was $65 with postage included, I think. So it was a bit of a steal. These are usually hundreds of dollars here in Australia currently. Like, to get a decent specimen at least, a bigger one, you'd probably be paying $100 or $200 at least. So yeah, I thought, you know what, I saw this come up and I'm like, screw it, I'll get it for only, $60 with postage included, and then just see how it goes. Hopefully grow it out, hopefully not kill it, and hopefully get some nice specimens. And they seem to be semi-popular. Like, they seem to be, being sold quite a bit now online. So hopefully it's a nice little sort of investment plant. It's not going to make me a millionaire, but hopefully it sort of pays for itself in the future. So where am I going to chuck you? Chuck you over here. All right, so that was the first one. And what am I going to do with this paper? Okay. This is definitely going to make a mess if it doesn't stay contained within the box. So, all right, so trying to think. I have a feeling I know what this is going to be, but if it is what I think it is, I purchased this only 2 days ago, so I'd be surprised if it's already here. Though it did come from Melbourne, if it's the one that I'm thinking of. Yeah, it's the one I'm thinking of. All right. Jesus, definitely packaged well. I always wonder with people posting this stuff in Australia, do you guys take the plants to the post office and then box them up there? Or do you buy the boxes from the post office and then take the boxes home and then box the plants up at home? I assume that would be the more sensible way of doing it. Okay. Oh, so I'll see. These are kind of really well packaged in here, guys. So I might have to take them out one by one. I'm not sure if you can see there. They've been very well packaged in. So good job, Chris, who is the gentleman that I purchased these from. Thank you, Chris. I'm just moving this plant out of the way so I don't smack it off the table accidentally. All right, what's the easiest thing going to be? I think we're just going to dismantle the box. Oh, they've been taped to every single side. Oh! Good job. All right. What's the easiest thing here? Sliding it down or sliding it up? So, I wonder if you guys will be able to work out what this guy is. A velvet leaf philodendron. Well done. You got it right. So this is a glorious, I don't have any of these in my collection, or at least I didn't have it until right now. So I saw these come up. The young man was selling them on, it's so funny saying that now. I feel like I get to my 30s, I get to talk about kids in their 20s as young men. He was selling them in one of the groups as a package with, I think it was Glorious, Majestic and Splendid. Now I already have quite a large Splendid specimen on a moss pole. So I sent him a message and was like, is there any chance that instead of getting the Splendid, I can grab some Glorious and Majestic, because I don't have those and they look insane. When you see people like Sydney Plant Guy growing these things up moss poles, and they're apparently, one, incredibly easy and forgiving as plants to grow up moss poles if you want to start with them, as opposed to species like the Melanochrysum. But two, they get huge and look phenomenal. If you see Sydney Plant Guy's one, it's just out of this world, the size of it. And yeah, I think he's got both that and a Melanochrysum. And the Melanochrysum he's been growing, I think, longer than his Glorious. But it has sized up way more. The Glorious is sized up way more than the Melanochrysum. So I don't know if I'm going to... Yeah. So effectively what I did was I sent this guy a message and was like, look, I'd like to get 2 of each if you've got them, because I would like, if I'm going to chuck them on a moss pole, to have more than a single plant on there, just to cover my bases in case one dies or to fill it out a bit. And he was like, yeah, no worries. Sorry, I'll try and take this off first. No, I'll just leave it like that. He said, yeah, no worries. I've got 3 Gloriouses and 2 Majestics. So I'll give you the 2 Majestics. And you can have you pick of the 3 Gloriouses that I have. I keep wanting to say Gloriosums. The 3 Gloriouses that I have. And so I ended up just saying, look, you choose. All I want is the most developed ones. So if you've got any that have leaves coming out, spikes, because he said he didn't have any of the tip cuttings left, I said I'll take those if and where possible. So yeah, I managed to grab 2 of those. It's so funny when these things are like packaged too well. They're kind of a pain in the butt. Better that than having damaged plants arrive, I guess. All right. But yeah, so I said, just you pick, you tell me, you pick whichever 2 you reckon are the best, and gonna hit the ground running so that I can just plant these up and get going as soon as possible. Man, this must be an easier way of doing this, Pete. Why do you have to make something simple so hard? The difficult part here is that the cup is full of moss, so it doesn't kind of push back when you grab onto it. It kind of squishes. And I'm not wanting to damage the plant's roots. Okay. If I'm not chopping through anything in the plant. Here you go. Off you come. Yeah, sweet. Okay, so this one's got a growth point as well. Blown out, but yeah. So this is going to be really nice to grow up a pole. I think they're going to size up really quickly and become an amazing sort of feature piece, I think, if I ever get my moss pole wall together. All right, so they're the 2 Gloriouses. And get the stuff out of the way. There are 2 Majestics in here as well, as I mentioned. And I think price-wise, I'm trying to remember what I paid. I think it was $125 with postage included. May have been about that. Maybe $150 with postage included. Either way, I think I got each cutting for about $30. And so, yeah, it was a pretty good deal. I've seen larger Glorious plants going for, $100, $200, depending on the size, obviously with multiple leaves. But I kind of wanted to just start with a smaller cutting instead of buying an established plant, and also didn't want to have the hassle of picking up the plant if it was massive, because yeah, it's unlikely that anyone locally here, at least within a half an hour drive, is growing these. It would much more be likely that I'd have to drive to Melbourne, which is about an hour and a half away. So there's one of the Majestics, and when I chuck up the names of these guys, I'll try and be sure to give you the types of hybrids that they are, because I can't remember off the top of my head. I think the Majestic is Soderoy something. And the glorious is Melanochrysum gloriosum, I think. Or again, I'll check so you know. Trying to test my memory, but no, I can't remember. Very well packed though. This is awesome. Good job, Chris. If you're watching this. Beautiful. There you go. So yeah, these guys are absolutely stunning. Again, can't wait to grow them up a pole. They are meant to be incredibly easy growers, and yeah, I guess there's not really much else to say, guys. All right. Now, the last plant is huge, and I got this from Uprooted. Now, originally I saw this for sale through Uprooted and wanted it, but they weren't going to deliver it because it was in a 20 centimeter pot and they didn't have a box big enough to fit it in. But then I saw that and I assumed I missed out. I was like, oh fuck, well if I can't do it, someone locally will grab it. But then I saw it was up for sale again, and they said they would post it for free. So they had transplanted it out of the 20 centimeter pot, I think, or whatever it was, and they put it into one that fit inside their largest box here. And the easiest thing for me may be to just open it from the top, your nuffy. And again, I need to be really careful not to damage it. So yeah, I saw that post had been put up and responded sold within, I think it was 30 minutes of it going up, and was just really keen to get this plant. You'll see why shortly. To be honest, I think this plant, the type that it is probably the plant I have the most of now in my collection. I wonder if that gives you any hints. So, and oh yeah, the thing he was nervous about was it being damaged when it got sent in the mail. And so that was the only thing I was kind of like, oh Jesus, how's this going to go? How's this going to go? Okay. I think the easiest thing is going to be to unbox it from the bottom and then slide the box up. I think that is going to be easiest. Otherwise, I might see if I can open it sideways, because again, I don't want to damage the leaves in this thing are absolutely stunning, and I really, really don't want to damage them. Now, I purchased it even though I have a load of these in my collection because it's different, and you're going to see why. And it was the only one that I've ever seen that has this weird variation in its variegation. So you already know now that it's something variegated. I've never seen this before. I'm sorry, I'll shut up and I'll get it out so you can see what it is. And then I'll start chatting about it. It's stuck inside the box. Hold on. Okay, so slight bit of bruising I can see around the sides here and on the growth point, but hopefully it's not the end of the world. It does have a little bit of damage here, but it looks like it has traveled incredibly well. Wow, I'm actually really impressed that fit inside that box. So I'll give you a squiz, I'll give you a look. I take it you can probably work out what it is, but can you see what's unique about this Thai Constellation? I grew the beard just so that I could do this, by the way. The variegation on it is half mooning. How fucked up is that? How cool is that? I've never seen that in a Thai Constellation. But if you have a look at these leaves, it's like it has two types of variegation. It has the low variegation on one side and the chunky blocky variegation on the other side. I have never seen that in any other type of Thai Constellation. And it seems to be somewhat stable across these different leaves. So again, I can see it on the bottom leaves. So here it's happened on this one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the 6 most recent leaves, and even all the way down to the base, the smaller leaves too appear to have that half mooning happening. So that is why I jumped on it. I was just like, this thing is so unique. I need it. I need it in my collection. And I don't know, maybe it'll be worth a lot. Maybe it won't be worth a lot in the future, but I have a feeling that this is one that I would just like to grow out for myself. we'll see. I say that now, but I'll probably take cuttings and try and get my money back. Price-wise, I got this for $500, postage included, which is probably a pretty decent price, to be honest. To be fair, like, I think that is the standard price you would pay for a Thai Constellation today in Australia that is blocky variegation like this, without the half mooning, that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and a 9th leaf on the way. It's a pretty good deal. It's a pretty good deal. And I really like Uprooted as a company, so free shout out to them. Those guys are really amazing. They've got some beautiful plants. If you're in Australia, go check them out. Again, this isn't a sponsored video or anything. I just like them as a company. They do plants really well, and they have these pre-made boxes that work really well as well. And I probably could have reused this one, but oh well, that's what happens. I should just send them a message and be like, guys, can I buy some of your boxes? Just black out your brand for me. Anyway, yeah, I'm so pumped to have this plant in my collection. I didn't think I was ever going to get it. I saw it come up and thought, fuck, it's coming from Brisbane. It's in Queensland, and they wanted a local pickup. And I was like, I'm not driving 2,000 kilometers to get this plant. But yeah, it's here. It made it. It didn't suffer too much damage. Hopefully the little bit of bruising here is just sort of a little bit of superficial damage, but again, I'm just in awe of how beautiful these half moon leaves are. And it's just that it's consistent. It's just such a weird thing. I have never seen that kind of, it's almost like variegation within variegation, like the way in which it's being partitioned up. It has its types of low and high variegation, but then those themselves are also being partitioned up in the plant in this half mooning 50% kind of manner, which is just so peculiar. So I guess, yeah, this is the ultimate plant if you're a fan of both the low variegation and the high variegation Thai Monsteras. Man, yeah, just speechless. So you guys will have to let me know what you think. Am I just, too in love with Thai Constellations? I need to just get my hand off it and start looking at other plants? Or is it worth the hype? So anyway, that's probably enough, guys. I've been ranting and raving. Hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. YouTube reckons you're going to enjoy this one over here. And before I go, let me know what you've unboxed recently. And if you have a YouTube channel with videos as well, or if you've got an Instagram account, send me a message or post it in the comments below. Feel free to. I have no problem with you guys sharing your stuff. I would love to see it. I would love to hang out. I appreciate you, and I'll see you next time. Tooroo.